Friends, so today we're going to be making one of the 7 important Swedish cookies to make for your cookie tray when you serve cookies to your guests. And this is a tradition that's been going back to the 1800s. And today we're going to be making, I hope we say it right, Kolasnittar, which are called caramel cuts in English. Super easy to make. I love this recipe because it only takes 6 ingredients. Again, it's one of those easy Swedish cookies to make. And I can't wait to show you, so let's get started. Okay, to get started with our caramel cuts, I'm first adding in 1 cup of sliced softened butter, 2/3 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Okay, so now we need to have molasses, and there's different colors of molasses, and this one's kind of a darker one. You can certainly use a lighter molasses as well. Next, we're going to beat the butter and the sugar and everything else that's in here until it's nice and creamy. Okay, so now the butter mixture is nice and fluffy. Next, we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 2 cups of flour. So now you and I are ready to mix our ingredients. So I've lightly floured the surface, and we're going to put the dough onto the countertop here. And we're going to combine this into at least 2 logs, depending on how long the dough ends up rolling out, maybe even 4. So the log is going to be about the length of my baking sheet, just a little bit shorter, and the logs will spread out, so you definitely want to give the logs some room when you put it on the baking tray. Great, so now we have the logs on the baking tray, and you can see that I gave it a little bit of space before the baking tray. That way it has room to spread out, which it will. Now this is optional. You can flatten out the log if you like. It is optional. Not everybody does this, but you can definitely do that just to give it a more of a flatter cookie. We're gonna bake these at a degree of 350 for about 15 to 18 minutes. Another thing you will notice is there's not that much cleanup involved. For example, you only need to use 1 bowl with this recipe. You can just put everything in the same bowl, which is a huge time saver, not only just for assembling the ingredients and making the cookie, but as well for the cleanup at the end of the day. So I just took our baking tray right out of the oven. I am slicing the cookies, and you can slice these, with a pretty pattern. You can do these diagonally if you like. Now I'm doing this while the dough is still warm. I noticed that I have to do it somewhat gently, otherwise the cookie kind of breaks apart a little bit. And then this is the flat version, as you can see here. And as you can see, these cookies look a little bit more smoother, and I think it is because we used the knife to spread out the dough before we baked it. Versus this version, which is the log version, we just put these straight onto the baking pan, and you can see when it baked, it did bake flat, but it has kind of more of a texture to it. So now the cookies have cooled down, and I have my cup of coffee, because you have to have coffee with the Swedish cookies for sure. And I can't wait to try these. These are really soft, and it just kind of breaks apart very easily. Okay, so let's have a bite. Thumbs up for sure. These are nice and buttery and chewy. It has like a little bit of texture on the outside, but definitely nice and chewy in the inside. I can certainly see why these go great with a cup of coffee for sure. And I think you guys should definitely try making these. I could easily see, if you wanted to experiment with flavors, to maybe add some maybe ginger to it, especially with the holidays coming up. You may want to, spice it up with a couple of different flavors, maybe cardamom. But these are really, really nice. And if you do serve these on a cookie tray during the holidays, I am sure people will try these, because I think almost anybody would enjoy these cookies for sure. So If this is your first time here, we would love to have you subscribe because every week we come out with both traditional and modern Scandinavian recipes to help celebrate with your family and friends. Have a great week. Skål, and see you later, guys. Bye.